Don't hurt me, don't hurt me no more.
Go. If you're not live, go live. Invite your family, invite your friends. You gotta hear this. We are live. Let's go, Mehdi. Let's go. Here it is. You ready? Energy is a currency. Energy is currency. Woo! We got Deuce Trey coming in hot. We got Deuce Trey coming in hot. All right, we're rocking and rolling. What is going on, my amazing, beautiful ladies and gentle savages? That's a new one I created yesterday. Gentle savages. You got to be gentle if you're a man, a gentle man, but you also got to be a savage when it's time to be a savage. Thank you guys for joining us. Thank you guys for giving us a little piece of your life, a little piece of your time. We're going for 29 minutes left. 10:30, we're done. And we have a special guest here today. So we are all friends and family, and this is our call that we run every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. It's called Production of Leaders. So production of leaders, because you're not a leader if you're not producing other leaders, whether they're in your business, whether they're not in your business, whether it's your family. Leadership is something that we all have the opportunity to tap into. All right. And we've been running these calls since the first Saturday of the year, and there is 14 weeks left. So what are you going to do in these next 14 weeks? How are you going to finish strong? October 1st marks 90 days. So we want to inspire you. We want to help you. We want to dive into these different topics on leadership specifically that we're going to be talking every single Saturday, bringing you value. And if you can take one thing with you, then this call was worth it. So if you learn one thing from these next 20 minutes that we're going to go, then it was worth it. So if you can pay attention, take notes. Note takers are game changers, because today I'm passing the mic. I am passing the baton, all right, to someone that is joining us to bring value to each and every one of you. But before we do that, I want to remind you, the reason we do these calls is because we want to create duplication. We want to create leadership, right? And the goal of every follower is to become the leader. But leadership starts with you. Leadership starts within you, right? So that is why today I've decided to allow our guest, our brother, Mehdi Cohen, to come on and to bless you guys with what he has to say to the community, what he has to say to the world on this call. Let me tell you guys a little bit about Mehdi. We met probably last year sometime, and we just connected. He's, we have mutual friends. We're also in the Enagic business together. But one of the things that really impacted me was that this guy learned how to speak Spanish, and I thought he was paisa. When I first met him, I heard him speak, and he's like, "Bueno, pues, mi hermano, que hubo pues usted?" And I'm like, how is this dude learning? Wait, hold on a second. When I got to know him, he's like, "No, I'm from Morocco, man." And I'm like, dude, how did you learn to speak Spanish? There's something different in this guy's brain. If he taught himself, he was like an actor. I'm like, how did you do that? He's like, I taught myself, bro. And I really, I was impressed by his ability to speak Spanish and not even be from Medellin, from Colombia. So he's joining us with his beautiful wife, Maggie. And I've asked him, because he has been consistently on these calls every single Saturday for probably like the last, I don't know, maybe 8 weeks. I said, hey, you've been here consistently. You've been gaining some value. I would like for you to take the mic and you to bless the community. And so his favorite number is 8. So if you're on Instagram, if you're live, if you're watching this in the comments, why don't you drop an 8 in the chat and give a warm welcome for our brother, Mehdi Cohen and Maggie. He is going to be blessing you guys. So I'm going to be quiet. If you're on Instagram, I'm going to let you see the Zoom, because he's going to be teaching you guys today a little bit about leadership. So be engaged. I ask you to ask questions, drop comments, be here for the next couple minutes that we're going to be on this call. Be fully engaged and give him your respect and your honor, same way you do to me every Saturday. Learn, ask questions, and again, just be engaged. Brother, you got the mic. I'm going to shut up and go ahead and bless us, man.
Oh, brother, thank you so much for that warm welcome, man. Thank you, everybody, for joining this amazing call and for Coach Gabe to give me the honor to share some value, and at least you guys can take something home with you guys tonight. So let me start it off. Come on, let's show Coach Gabe what we've been learning all these calls. What are the 4 pillars of these Saturday calls?
The 4.
And I know Brian knows, so let's see if somebody else.
I was ready to yell. I was baby, listen, you gotta.
Well, you know, tell him, man, because you know, you want to be able to, you know, lead yourself. So I don't know if. I mean, Brian, go ahead and tell him, man, because you've been consistent with these things.
You got to be able to lead yourself, right? That's the first step. You want to be able to lead yourself. Secondly, when you lead yourself, you want to create the vision, embody the vision. And the third thing is you want to create a mission, a purpose around that, right? So it's creating a mission. And then lastly, empower it by leading others, you know?
Perfect. Awesome, bro. Thank you, man. So yeah, it's so powerful, like these 4 pillars, man, and I embody them so much, and you know, thanks to Coach Gabe. And I wanna start it off by a question. I want to ask you guys, what is exactly leadership to you guys? If you guys can drop it in the chat or unmute yourself and just go ahead and say it. Vision, mission, lead others. Yeah, okay. Well, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you guys my take on it. You know, leadership, first. Awesome answers, man. So how I view this question, it's like it boils down to influence. So influence, it's so key in leadership, and it's not that we want to influence, it's just the byproduct of us adding value is what creates this influence. So influence, it basically combines through everything. And guys, it could be good or bad. You know, the influence that we have in our life. I don't know if you guys probably had bad influence in your life, you know, but you still were influenced about it or by it. So, you know, it's when we were born, we were influenced by our parents, you know, like that's our role models. And if it was good influence or bad, but still the influences take place on us getting engaged into learning and developing ourselves or becoming the worst version or the best version of ourselves. It's like what Coach Gabe, he does in these Saturday calls. He influenced me to be a better leader. So it has to do with influence. And that's the type of crowd you're going to attract, is because how much value you're adding, that's how much influence you're going to have on people. So influence is everything. I just want to, you know, share that. And like what I do now is I am very intentional about leadership. I love this subject, and it's just because it helped me develop myself. And I've been on a journey of self-development for over 5 years. But when you're intentional about leadership, it's different, because now everything you do in life, you will put it towards that intention about influencing other people. So for example, I was watching this movie, The Founder. I don't know if you guys seen it. It's about the founder of McDonald's. Amazing movie. But my intention was, when I started watching the movie, was to basically learn about leadership from this movie, because I know there's something I have to learn from it, or I can learn from it. So, you know, just things like that. You know, if you're scrolling and you're finding people that you follow, learn about what they do, because everybody has something to teach us about leadership without them even knowing it. So, you know, and that's the type of influence we have. So we want to influence people when we're consistently adding value. And that's one of the main things in these calls is there's value in these calls. So it's consistent. If Coach Gabe was not consistent with these calls, then maybe it added value one time and that's it. But he's consistent, so he's consistently adding value. That way he influences us. The influence is a byproduct by him adding so much value. So when I started this journey of growing, of developing myself, it was about maybe 5 years ago. I used to ask myself this question. I don't know if you guys can relate. If you guys relate, drop some twos in the chat. I used to ask this question: how long will it take? How long will it take for me to develop myself? How long will it take for me to hit top ranks in my company? How long will it take for me to be this person that I want to be, or to be in a position in life that I want to be? But the thing is, with this question, it's more discouraging, because now you're worried about time, like how long it's more result driven, you know? And I don't, it used to just put me in like a fear state, because I'm like, oh man, how long, I'm worried. But then when I started growing and the years passed by, I changed that question to how far can I go? So now you're replacing the question from, you know, how long will it take, to how far can I go? How far can I go in my business? How far can I go in my relationship? How far can I go as being a brother, being a father, being a husband? How far can you take things in life? That's how I was able to be more purpose driven, because that question, it makes me more related to purpose. It's like it encourages me. It gives me more like, man, I want to go far. I want to start leading these calls, and I want to start doing more for my community. I want to, because it's more encouraging. So it's very important to reevaluate certain questions you ask yourself, and just put them in a scale, you know, as long as they add value. Because one, like me, I'm a doer. I like action. So, you know, and humans, we learn by doing, not by knowing. It's like the person that just graduated from mechanic school, and then the mechanic that's been a mechanic for 20 years. He's been doing it for 20 years versus this person is only in theory. He hasn't done it. So it's very important to be a doer. It defines who you are. It's not what you know, it's what you do. That's what defines you. So it is very important to look at it in that sense. It just, it makes me more like, man, yes, I am a doer. I want to do more. Because a lot of people would know things, they know it all, but when it's time to action, it's not done. There's no action, you know? So, and I want to dive deeper in that sense. And it's like, you know, most people say experience is the best teacher, and experience is not the best teacher. And I'm gonna go deep, because it's not the experience, it's the evaluation of the experience. Okay, like I'm gonna give you guys an example. I used to have an action cam, like to record when you're wakeboarding, or whenever I go to the lake. It's waterproof, awesome. I had it rigged in my helmet. I never bought a floaty for it. I was wakeboarding, I fell, and I lost my camera. Okay. And people, my friends that had these types of gadgets used to tell me, hey man, buy a floaty for it. I didn't listen to it because I didn't have an experience. So now that I had the experience, guess what? I went off and I bought a GoPro. Now I have a GoPro, and like I had it in a held device. We're in a tube, and I'm having fun, and then they flipped us. And then I lost my GoPro too, because I didn't buy a floaty for it. So, so the experience did not make me change. Because if only experience is the best teacher, then I would have changed right away. I didn't go home, I didn't evaluate, I didn't have no insight about it, you know, because it's like the reflection about your experience is what gives you insight about what you're doing. So we want to reflect on every experience that we have. Therefore, it gives us an insight. That way now it's that experience is going to mold you and it's going to make you do things. And that way you're able to have an influence on people. And it's like I asked myself this question, and if you guys relate, let me know in the comments. It's like, I will ask, what did I learn? First question. And then the second question, what did I love about it? And if you have kids, you can switch it around. You can be like, honey, what did you learn? Oh, what did you love? And after they tell you, oh, mom, I love this and that and that, then you ask them, what did you learn? And if you teach them these principles, they're gonna, once they get it, they're always gonna come to you and tell you, mom, I love this about this, and I had someone, and then this is what I learned. Because we evaluate things, and that's what makes us get better. So I wanna go ahead and ask another question and see what you guys think. What do you guys value the most? Freedom, awesome. Family, food, awesome. I mean, there's no wrong question. It's just I have a 5-step process on value, okay? So value yourself to be able to add value and value people. Value your team. But first, it starts with me. I want to be able to value myself. So the number one thing that I always, from my 5 steps, is value people. You want to value humanity. You want to value what we are as beings. And if you value people, the second thing comes on. Now you can, because like every day I'm adding value to people, either through helping, either through if a random stranger is in the road, like if I can add value to them by helping them change their tire, that's adding value, because I value people. I think we're all valuable. In the eyes of God, we're all the same. So we should have that same vision on people. So the second one is think of ways to value people, because now you're invoking the thought process. Now you're thinking of ways you can value people. Oh man, I can value this person this way. Now you're being creative, because remember, it's all about that consciousness that you have. And the third thing I would want to add is to look for ways to add value to people. Now you're using your vision to look for ways to add value to people, because you got to find out their needs. What do people need to be able to add value to them, okay? Because I'm gonna give you guys an example. What we see is what we look for. So you can't be looking always at the negative, then that's what you're gonna value. You wanna see good in people, that way you can look for things to add value to people, because it's like the law of the mirror. And then the number 4 way that I use value in my life, now this is a good one because it requires action. I do things to add value to people. It's action driven. Every day I do things to add value to people because I value people. Because number 1, I value people. Now I can do things to value people. And then last step is I encourage other people to add value to people. Because now it's the duplication process. Okay, everything that we do in life, we want to be able to duplicate. It's like Coach Gabe, he's like, hey bro, you're gonna lead the Saturday call. I was like, oh man, you know, I gotta add some value. And it's amazing. So what do you guys think, man? Let's drop some 28s in the chat if you guys are with me, man. Feel like I talk my heart out, man. Like that's how I am when people around me, I'm just like, she has to be like, amor, stop, you know. So yeah, man. I just love it, man. It's all about developing yourself. Like focus on you, man. You know, the biggest advice I can give anybody is like, focus on you, become the best version. If you die tomorrow, would you be happy with who you are? That's all it goes down to. And if I learn something in these calls is we as leaders or great leaders ask great questions. I've learned it from all these Saturday calls. We have to ask great questions, right? Okay, but now I took it a little bit deeper where I can be like, well, what do you mean? Just ask random questions. But if we're being conscious and actually trying to learn about leadership and having it as a thing in the back of our mind, leadership everywhere you go. Now I ask people questions about leadership. You know, it's like the first question I would ask, for example, I'll just guys give you a question that I mostly ask people is, tell me about your greatest failure. So now you're like, hey, Coach Gabe, please tell me about your greatest failure. And he's gonna go, oh man, he's gonna tell me all his story about the things that molded him, because your character is built through failure. Who we are as people, as greats, it's built through the tough parts and the failures that we had. That's who made who we are. Because even like the top people and the greats, they were asked this question. And if they could go back and change anything in their life, will they do it? And they said no, because it's through their failures they're at the point and stage and point of life that they are. It was through their failures. And that was the topic on yesterday, last weekend. It was about failure. So it is very important to understand that failure, it's a great thing. And it's what makes us who we are. The lessons we learn through failures are more valuable than if we make only successful decisions. You know, that's why a lot of celebrities, they're super successful and they commit suicide. You know, because they don't fail a lot. We have to be able to be okay with failure. It's gonna make us. It's gonna make us who we are, man. And then the second question I always go for is, and this is good, guys. If you guys taking notes, man, go ahead and write this one down, because you know I think it's very key to ask people. Who do you know that I should know? So if I ask Brian, who do you know that I should know, bro?
Right. My man Gabe, you gotta meet him.
Coach Gabe, right? That's one of the persons I would say too. I would be like,
right.
Go, I want you to meet my mentor, Wadia. Like I've known Wadia for a while now. You know, I want to meet my good friend, Coach Gabe. He's amazing. I want you to meet my friend, Coach Cody. He's the striking coach. He's this MMA coach. He's amazing. And now, since we're getting introduced to other people's circles, and the people that add value to those people, now you're able to grow and get a different insight about other people and what they do. And then you get to ask them, tell me about your greatest failure. And then you can learn from that. So I think those two questions are very important, which is tell me about your greatest failure. It's number one. And number two is, who do you know that I should know? And we have to be a sponge. You want to be a sponge, guys. And that's how you're going to absorb everything that is going to be of value to you. Okay. Because there's a misconception that, all, leaders, they develop leaders, and 90% of leaders, or quote unquote leaders, do not develop other leaders. It's hard. Like I was there. You gotta be frank, because it was hard for me because I wanted to do it all. I didn't give people the chance to mess up and tell them, hey man, I think you should do this, and I think you should get better at this, because that's how we learn, through what I said, through doing, through action. But then I would take that away from people, and then nobody's learning. So, because this is the analogy that I have. Okay, a good leader work themselves out of a job, because whatever position you are at, you want to be able to duplicate that to somebody else. And once you're there, you get through another job, and then you do that, then you duplicate yourself, and then you work yourself out of that. Because a lot of the successful people there ask this question: how many jobs did you work yourself out of? And they'd be like, well, 10 jobs, because they started as in the bottom, and now they're like the founder and the chairman and the CEO of a company, because they were able to duplicate and work themselves out of a job. So I think it's very key to understand that and to be able to duplicate. And I am myself still working on that, because I am conscious about leadership. I want to grow, and I want to learn, and I want people to correct me. We want to be able to tell people what we think as well. It's like, hey, babe, I think you're doing this, and I think, first of all, how I would say it is, if you see something in me, if you see a fault in me, if you see something that I should change, please tell me. Please tell me, and I will take it, and I will take it with a grain of salt, and I will do better. Because now we're starting with thyself, with you, and then you can tell people the truth. Tell people, hey man, I think you're slacking, brother. I think, what do you need help with? Should pick up the pace. Should be able to do these things. Because, good leaders, they understand they have more to give to the world. And that's what I'm working on. I want to be able to supply the world with so much goodness. Like, my dreams is to go and do things in third world countries, open wells, and and just people that didn't have drinking water. And then we do that, we document, and then we inspire other people, we influence other people so they can do the same. So we want to be able to be in these actions of doing great things. And I just want you guys to, recap on what we talked about. So it's the influence is everything. Okay. Number two, how to add value, the 5 steps. And then number 3 is asking great questions about leadership. And I live these things. I do these things on a daily basis. And I would encourage everybody to do that, man, because now we're able to tap into our greatest self. And I think we're almost time. We'll open up for anybody that wants to give any take, and we can close this amazing call, man. I hope I was able to add value to you guys, man.
Yes, sir. Well, why don't you guys drop some 8s in the chat
100%.
if you
Mehdi,
gain some value.
my fault.
Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, I was gonna say I love what you said about the value. Like that just hit home for me because I'm always thinking about someone I should network you with. You understand? There's so many times where I was able to grow my business, and so many times I'm able to get different gigs just because of the people that I know, or just because I provided value for someone, and then they want to provide value and recommend me to someone else. So that was great. And Mehdi, yeah, man, you did great. I love how you lined it up. Yes, you provided a lot of value. I was taking notes, so when I was off camera, I was on the notes, jotting shit down.
Nice, nice.
There you go, guys. Who else gained some value? Why don't you unmute yourself and tell us what you took away? What was the one thing that you heard that impacted you, or that you're going to actually write down or write in your notes? What did you guys take from this call? What value did you gain? Unmute yourself. I would love to hear from you, or drop it in the chat on IG or here in the Zoom chat. One thing that Mehdi said at the end that really impacted me was, I do these things. Very simple. In leadership, if you're not doing what you're teaching, if you're not, if you're not practicing what you're preaching, then there's suspect, right? People are not going to follow you. You're not going to develop other leaders. So I love that you said, I do these things. I follow these 3 steps, and you've been consistent. So thank you for bringing that value. Somebody wanted to share here. DJ said, value people, inspire others to value people. He said, this is what I do. Value people, inspire others to value people. He said, this is what I do. DJ said that on Instagram just now.
Awesome. Love it.
Anyone else? Well, guys, we are live every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Production of leaders. The greatest test of leadership is if you are producing other leaders. We're going to log off, but we're going to stay for about 2 minutes if anybody else wants to drop some nuggets. So remember, we love you. The joy is in the journey. Trust the process. Have a good one.